Hey guys, this is Andreas from Pocketables.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can modify a back cover that's compatible with the iPad mini smart cover to have a couple of magnets. So if you've been following the site for a while, you might have seen my articles about this back case, which is $2 on eBay. It's very nice texture, and it actually locks the smart cover in place using these things on the side. The only problem is that it doesn't have magnets, which actually very few of these cases have. The reason you want to have magnets is to actually be able to lock the smart cover to the back so that it doesn't just flop around when you try to do anything. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, just add magnets. So I have done this before to the smart cover or to the case I'm using on my iPad. So I'm actually doing this for my roommate right now. So these covers are $2, so it's not really a big of a risk to try to do it. Also, I'm using a dummy iPad. This is actually a fake iPad, just so that I'm going to do some things with super glue and things like that. So it's always nice to use one if you have it. Otherwise, you need to be more careful than I'm going to be. So I'm going to start by simply attaching the smart cover. It's a bit more complicated with the dummy because it doesn't have magnets, but because the cover actually locks it in place, it will still work. So obviously the first thing you're going to need is a couple of magnets. These magnets are actually from another smart cover, a fake one. So I took that one apart like a year ago, and I'm still using these magnets that are inside because there are a lot of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm essentially just going to place them wherever they want to fit on the smart cover. They're sort of just going to align themselves. There are several different positions that they could fit in, so just move them around a little bit until you find a position that they want to stay in. Once you've done that, just sort of flip it around the back and make sure you know roughly where you want the magnets to go. Actually, I'm going to see if there are any positions a bit further in, like perhaps. Let me see if I can locate the magnets a bit. So we have one there. In theory, at least. And let's see. Roughly the same spots. Actually, I'm going to go grab my first one and just see. What positions I use on that one. So about right there, and I guess that'll do. So let's just see how that will look once flipped around the back. Roughly so. And then use some magic super glue. The glue is actually just temporary to sort of transfer the magnets. You need to be careful so you don't glue your smart cover. Press it down. It doesn't really matter if you get it perfectly or not. You just need a general idea of where the magnets have been glued. So even though the magnets didn't stick, that's actually not the point. The point was just to get some glue onto the back in order to see where the magnets stick. So technically you didn't even need glue, you could have used paint or Tipex or something like that. So once you have these general markings for where you want to make the cut, you need something to cut with. You could basically use an X-Acto knife like this and just go at it until you're through. I do have a bit stronger tools. This is a Dremel just with a I don't know what sort of tip this is even, but it works well. Okay, so I guess I shouldn't have put my microphone straight by where I was working, but I guess I fixed that before I published the video. So as you can see, I made some holes that are quite a bit larger than magnets themselves, because it's always nice to have some space to work with. Just gonna use this scalpel to sort of get rid of the excess plastic. Like that. I think actually this one is too, yeah, it's too small. So like that. And then we need some tape, some sort of strong tape. It doesn't really matter too much. I have some duct tape, so I'm just going to use that. Don't have scissors, I do have a scalpel. It's sort of backwards, but anyways. And just make sure that the area you're taping is more or less clean. And then just add the 2 pieces of tape so that they cover the holes. That gives you essentially on the other side these 2 holes with tape in them. And then we just reassemble everything. This is where it's nice to have a dummy instead of a real iPad, because it doesn't matter if you get some dust on it. You can just remove it later. You don't end up damaging an expensive iPad. But it's perfectly possible to do this anyways, you just need to be more careful. So I'm gonna flip this around back, try to position the magnets back where I found them. Just try to see if I can navigate this into the holes. So about right there, a little bit like that. And then this is an important part. You actually need to sort of press down and slide so that you leave the magnets behind, which is what I failed to do. I actually think I want to make this hole a little bit wider. I was a bit too conservative because the volume cutout is so close, but I think it needs to be a bit wider to be straight. The tape isn't going to be used for anything other than sort of like a back piece to prevent the sugar we're going to use in a bit. So it doesn't matter if it's a bit wonky. Yeah, that looks good. Let's see if I can try to do this without grabbing the magnets this time. Yeah, but that'll be fine. So that's the rough position. It doesn't need to be too perfect. I found that it works quite well no matter how your magnets are on the back. Just make sure that they're positioned in the holes. Then you're going to use sugar, or I guess you could use epoxy or even tape over or something like that, but I think you're going to get the best result with sugar. You actually don't need much, just a few tiny pieces. And a trick I like to use is to use some olive or soy oil. Just do a little bit in a cup, dip your finger in it, and that will essentially prevent the sugar from sticking to your finger, but it will still stick to the plastic, so you can use your finger to sort of just push it into place, not worry about it grabbing hold of it, taking all of it with it when you leave or when you lift your finger. So sugar is fairly strong. You don't need much of it to just lock these magnets in place. So you can actually just use your finger to sort of shave off a little bit. That looks fairly good. The sugar needs to dry as well, but essentially you can just gently wipe at least some of the oil up. So once this is dry, you can see that it doesn't really add that much thickness to it at all, and it will grab the smart cover. So again, this is one of the benefits of having a dummy around. I think I paid like $10 for mine, and I've used it for several projects already. Basically means that even though it looks crazy to sort of stuff oil into the volume buttons, these aren't real. They work, but they're not real. So it means you can be a bit more liberal with your use of things like soya oil and things like that. Super glue. So I'm going to remove the cover. This needs to basically dry for about a day. Just going to make sure it's smooth and then leave it somewhere safe to dry. And if I can just go grab my iPad. Just dust off the smart cover. And boom goes the camera. And I can show you how this works with a finish cover, which is it uses some smaller magnets. That's why the sugar pieces look a bit different, but it's essentially the exact same concept. I've done the exact same thing. So this is actually my real iPad mini. So with this in place, I can flip this around back and the smart cover won't go anywhere. So that's it. Hopefully this hasn't been too messy of a tutorial. It's difficult to try to film something and make something at the same time, but hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.